Hello, everyone, and happy New Year's Eve to you. So today we just wanted to do a little wrap up of the year, a year in review. It's like one of our favorite things to talk about or listen to. So we thought we would do that for our book chat. We're actually going to do it in 3 parts. Lana is going to kind of talk about, do a little overview of the book chats that we've done this past year. And then we're going to do a rapid fire of each of our personal favorite reads, just in general. And then we're going to talk about, in the 3rd part, books that we are looking forward to reading in 2021. So let's start with the first part and talk about our book chat that we have loved doing this past year.
Yes, so this year for book chat, it all started in March when we got quarantined and we got our heads together and decided a way that we could promote books while we were still at home. And so we decided to do this online book chat. So the first one was actually started in April, and it was Little Women because we could do multiple copies at one time on e-readers, and it was a classic, so there wasn't copyright stuff. So it was an easy one. We'll just do Little Women.
Yeah.
And that just kicked us off for the rest of the year. We really enjoyed it. And so we went on to do Harry Potter, Hunger Games, Anne of Green Gables, Little Women, Just Mercy. I think all the ones. I actually have the list. Oh, here it goes. Harry Potter, Hunger Games, Just Mercy, Dracula, Twilight, The Reading Promise, Anne of Green Gables, and then Guernsey. And then we finished up the year with the best Christmas pageant ever.
Yes.
So each month we picked a book, and then every Thursday we had supplemental or activities to go with the reading that we were doing. So sometimes it was a craft, sometimes it was recipes, a lot of times it was just something funny about, to go along with the book. And then we always wrapped up each month with a discussion between Rachel and I on what we thought of the book, our personal history of the book. And so that was sort of what each month looked like. And so we're wrapping up this last month, like I said, with best Christmas pageant ever, and looking forward to next year starting more books.
Yeah.
And so, sorry, I was going to mention for social media, since those posts, in case you missed any of those posts from the past, and you actually had read the books or read them in the past and wanted to see what we had done, if you go to Instagram on our page, there is some icons on our home screen feed. Thank you, Rachel. Yeah. And one of them is a guide, and it's that 3rd one in.
Yes.
And we have saved all our posts for the book chats. And so each one is a selection like Guernsey or the best Christmas pageant ever. And if you click on that, you can see all the posts that we posted that month that relates to that book. So you could scroll through and you can see, and then if you click on one of those, you actually can see the post itself and read the description, see the comments, all that stuff. Feel free to go back through and comment, even if it's been months past. We still look at those. So easy access to all those. We've started saving those. And it's been fun to go back and look and see everything that we posted.
Yeah, it's really great information. And for the book chats that we recorded that didn't get lost, those are all still there, and they're fun to go back and watch, especially if it's a book that you really loved.
Yeah, hear our opinion on it and our thoughts.
Yeah, so we really love that guide feature of Instagram. And also, if you are just looking for wanting a book recommendation, we have saved all of our staff picks in a guide under that feature as well. So that's pretty handy. Okay, so now it's time to talk about our top 3 favorites, like personal favorites that we talked about for our book chat. Let's just go back and forth. So this is, I didn't put them in any order, but one that I absolutely loved was Just Mercy. We did an in-person book discussion with this, and that was quite a lot of fun, just to see people face to face, and it was a really great discussion. This is a nonfiction book, Brian Stevenson, and if you have not heard of this, look at our posts about it. There's so much information. It is a fascinating and really important read. So that is one of my favorites.
Yeah. So one of my favorites, which I don't think I even grabbed it. I grabbed a whole pile of things and I didn't grab that one. Was Anne of Green Gables, which was one of our first ones in the top there. And it is a classic, L.M. Montgomery, and I read it as a child, so this was a reread for me. Was it a reread for you, or had you read it?
Yes, I've read it many times.
Okay. So Anna Green Gables, little orphan girl, goes to live with a family in the country on Prince Edward Island, and I just loved rereading that because I hadn't read it since middle grade, high school, so it was fun just to revisit her.
And we had a lot of people join us live for that chat. So we love it when people join us. And so that made that discussion a lot of fun.
And I actually rewatched most of that discussion. And again, I enjoyed just rewatching it. Like our discussion, I felt like was one of our best talks for one of the books. And so that was one of my top books.
Okay. So my second favorite was the Dracula Twilight. It was fun to talk about the differences and the similarities. Totally unexpected. I think I said this. I never thought I would read the Twilight, the first book, let alone the whole thing. So
when I saw you post that you wanted that as your top, I was like, really? That shocks me, but I'm so excited.
Yeah, definitely. I wouldn't say it's my favorite book even of this year or anything. It was fun. I thought it was a fun little twist to our book chat, and I thought the discussion was fun. So
yeah, I enjoyed it too. So another one of mine was the Guernsey Literary and Potato Peel Pie Society. Again, this was a reread for us. We really picked books that we just enjoy in general. Most of them we had already read, but that was one that I just loved revisiting. I thought that the discussion again was really good. We tried to do a pen pal thing. It didn't quite go, but it was fun to start conversation though about writing letters and how you form friendships through reading and that kind of stuff. So Guernsey was one of my favorites.
Love that book. Okay, so my third one is Little Women. I read this for the first time way back in January, and then it was our first one, right? That we did for book chat, and so I know it's one of your favorite all-time books, but I knew the story and just had never read the book, and so it did not disappoint. Definitely a favorite read of the year and of book chat.
Yes, and unrelated to books, the movie is almost a year old, one that just recently came out, and I feel like it's due a rewatch. So put it on your list.
Part of my Christmas break plans is to watch the 2 Little Women movies.
Yeah, me too.
I love. Yeah.
So then my last one is The Reading Promise by Alice Ozma, and that was one of our nonfiction books that we did. And it reads like a fiction though, so it was an easy fiction. But it's about a girl and her dad who read from about when she's, what grade was she? 9. She's 9 years old until the first day of college. And so that was, again, just to promote reading and literacy. I just love that book.
Yep. A love of libraries and books, and it is an amazing story for sure. Check it out if you haven't. Okay, so that like we said, we have so enjoyed book chat, and we will continue to do this in 2021, and we hope that more and more of you join us for our live discussions. So second part, just to look back at our favorite reads, we are going to do a rapid fire of some of our favorites from different genres or sections of the library. So first up is favorite adult fiction. What do you have, Leanna?
I have Daisy Jones and the Six by Taylor Jenkins Reid. This was very hard to pick a favorite. I had a librarian once tell me picking your favorite book is like picking your favorite child. Like, you can't do it.
Yeah.
But book I've come back to all year, I read this during quarantine, is Daisy Jones and the Six. And I cannot wait to reread this book. It was so good. My favorite.
Yeah, I probably would have picked Little Women, but I kind of got reintroduced to Abby Waxman.
Oh.
The Garden of Small Beginnings. I had read one of her books, I think last year, and it just didn't strike me. Anyway, I picked this up after recommendation from a friend, and I loved it, and then I went on to read all of her other books. So I really like the story. It's kind of a romance, kind of, just lots of different things, but she's a very funny writer. But it's really good. So Abby Waxman, I rediscovered her this year and really liked the books, especially that one. So favorite nonfiction, Leanna?
Nonfiction, it was checked out, otherwise I'd have the book, but Melanie Schenkel's On the Bright Side. I thoroughly enjoyed that. Just Mercy would have been my other top pick, but since we've got book chat, trying to pick something different. On the Bright Side, and I actually went through and read all of Melody Shankle's books this spring.
Okay.
So any of hers. On the Bright Side was one of my favorites, but any of her books I would recommend.
Okay. And my favorite nonfiction I heard about on a podcast, and totally would not have picked it up, except the lady said that the author was funny. And it's called Get Well Soon.
Perfect.
History's Worst Plagues and the Heroes Who Fought Them. Could this not be more timely? It is really quite fascinating. It is funny. And she talks about how she's just a layperson. She said there are obviously the scientists and healthcare workers are huge heroes, but she talks about everyday people and what we can do during a crisis. So I just really, really loved this book more than I even thought I would.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it would be funny.
It
doesn't look like
I mean, it's dark, but also she is just a really good writer.
Okay.
All right, 5 favorite young adult or teen book.
Okay, this one was also checked out. All the good ones are. But A Curse So Dark and Lonely by Bridget Kemmerer. Like it's a retake on Beauty and the Beast, and I actually zoomed through. It's a series. The third one's not out yet, and I read it over a weekend and had to pick up the second book right away. It was so good. And then a close second, because I can't pick one, is Miss Peregrine's School for Peculiar Children. And I actually, by Ransom Riggs, is who wrote that. And I actually picked that for our reading challenge here at the library. The staff does, as my book I thought I would hate, and I loved it. It was so good. So it was a shock for me.
You've almost convinced me to read it. So
I think you should.
I think I will. All right, my favorite YA, I cheated a little bit and I picked a trilogy. So it is the Scythe trilogy by Neil Shusterman, and these are the 3. This one's checked out. It's pretty popular, I think, but Scythe, Thunderhead, and The Toll. It is dystopian. It is about Earth has evolved so much that there isn't sickness, people cannot die. They just, and so it's becoming overpopulated. So there are jobs where their job is to reap people, aka
a good series.
And it is, I mean, it makes you really think, and I loved it. And it was just,
and I would say it's older teen adult, it's pretty dark, so it's older teens probably, but
what you can handle, what your kids can handle. So
it was actually, when we started talking about it, this is the first one that popped in my head as my favorite YA, but you'd already picked it, so give us more options for people. But it was so good. It was
really good. I really enjoyed it. Okay, favorite middle grade. This is, I think, a library term.
Yes.
So to explain that, it's basically in the chapter book section of the children's area, but it's really good, right? I think maybe grade 3, but 4th, 5th grade up to 8th grade.
Yeah.
Right? Is that what you would say?
I would say, that's a good range. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Some of my favorite books.
Oh yeah, some of my favorite authors come from the middle grade. I know it was technically one of our book chat books, but it was my favorite. I'm a teen librarian, and I had never read the Harry Potter series, and I got a lot of flack for it. So this year set out on my mission to read them all. So Harry Potter was my favorite middle grade. I have not finished them all, but I have read the first one. And
just blows my mind that you hadn't read it.
I know.
But yay, it's so exciting.
But it was so good, and I've really enjoyed it. I have 6 and 7 to read left. I've been listening to them. The audiobook is amazing.
All right. My favorite is actually a nonfiction middle grade, On the Horizon by Lois Lowry. And we don't have this version at the library, but we have it on e-audiobook, ebook, and audiobook that you can check out.
We don't have the physical copy of them.
Right. But it's so good. It is kind of her story of World War II. Okay. And she goes back and forth and tells her point of view, and then actually a Caldecott winner, an illustrator, his point of view. He's Japanese, born Japanese. So
is it novel and verse? Do I remember that it's sort of
poems?
Poems, okay. So short sections of.
Yes, and not a very big book.
Yeah.
Really, really good. Absolutely loved it. So that is my middle grade pick.
Okay.
Favorite picture book.
This
Love
was hard.
picture books.
I read a lot of picture books with my girls. It was
I
hard
know.
to think about all the ones, but one that has been sitting on our shelf this year that was new to us that we actually were like sharing with other people was Don't Eat Your Classmates by Ryan T.
Funny.
Higgins. This is one of my girls' favorite books. One of their top favorites. Technically, we didn't read this year, so that's why I brought this one. This was one that we read.
Okay. Yeah. What's their top favorite?
Anything by Zachariah O'Hara, who we saw at a youth conference. I brought back some of his books. Ralph and Niblet. It's about two cats who live in apartment buildings and they can see each other and they're best friends. And they one day switch places and they to see each other, but they don't realize they switch places and is trying to get them back to their owners. I've read that book a million times. That book, my girls love that book.
Okay. My favorite is kind of, well, Matthew Paul Turner. He has a book called All the Colors of Christmas. You're watching this on New Year's Eve, but this is still a fantastic book. And he has 3 others. I believe we have 2 of them at the library. And I forget which 2.
Very good.
They're so good. There is When I Pray for You, When God Made Light, and When God Made the World. But
I have one.
He's kind of an up and coming children's book author, and I love them and wonderful illustrations. So
I have the When I Pray for You, but I need to get the other ones. And that was one of those books that I had a mom moment where I cried when I read it. My girls just looked at me.
Oh.
So good.
Yeah, you please read it to yourself.
Yes,
before you read it to your children, or you won't make it through.
No, and that's the mistake I made.
Yeah. Okay, graphic novel. There are graphic novels in all categories, from adult to picture books even. So, which are all picture books graphic novels?
I feel like so.
But there are still some that are specifically labeled graphic novels. Whatever.
Maybe
okay, what's your favorite?
Pictures on one page. I don't know. So I am not a graphic novel. I work in the tea department, and it's not my forte. I can count on one hand how many graphic novels I've read. But one of them that I love, that I read this year, and I read it in like one sitting and immediately texted Rachel, like, have you read this? You have to have it. Pumpkinhead by Ray Boreal. Ray Boreal is one of my favorite authors, and her graphic novel does not disappoint. It's 2 teens who are, it's their last fall working at the pumpkin patch together, and they are going on a search to find his crush, and it's just so funny, and it's so good. And for someone that loves fall, like, this encapsulates everything you love about fall. Like, it is so good.
Yeah, it would have been my favorite, but you picked it first.
Yeah.
So
got to it first.
So I actually read that this year as well, and then I read 2 middle grade graphic novels kind of towards the beginning of the year. And I picked New Kid by Jerry Craft, and I had it, but I forgot to get it because one of my kids took it last night and was reading it in bed. So it's upstairs. I'm not going to go get it. But it's really good. It's about a boy that goes to a new school and all the trials and tribulations that come with that. The other one I read was Stargazing, and I forget the author, but it was really good as well.
My other that I had to decide, I mean, this was my favorite, but I did read March by John Lewis.
Oh, yeah.
It's a 3-part graphic novel series. We read the first one for a book club. I actually did a book review on it, so you can go find that on our website. And it is very good, and I'm excited to read the next 2.
Yeah. Okay, so that is our looking back at this past year, looking forward. To wrap this up, our third part, what books are we looking forward to reading in the new year? I am right now reading Ready Player 2.
Okay.
And I'm pretty sure I'll probably finish that before the year's up. And then I'm going to start in on the Divergent series, which I've already read. My oldest just started reading it, and I kind of want to talk to him about it. And so I'm going to read them really fast because he's flying through them. And then I have more, but what's a couple that you are looking forward to reading?
So a couple that I'm going to be reading is I'm going to be finishing the Harry Potter series.
Okay.
I only have 2 left I'm going to be listening to, but I need to take breaks sometimes in series to like give myself some time to take a break from it. So I'll finish those 2. I have a goal of reading Lord of the Rings series this next year,
wow.
or at least some of them.
Okay.
I love the movies, and my husband's a big fan, but I've actually never read. I read The Hobbit, and I loved it.
Okay.
So I'm excited to read Lord of the Rings. Taylor Jenkins Reid, who wrote Daisy Jones and the Six, actually has a new book coming out, and I went through a spurt of her this summer and really liked it. And then Andy Weir has a new book coming out. He wrote The Martian, and I love his books. I do not care for science fiction, and his books are so good. And so I'm excited for his next book that comes out.
Yeah, I saw his books, Project Hail Mary, and then Taylor Jenkins Reid is Malibu Rising. I was really excited for those two.
Yeah. I saw their names, and I'm like, yay! And Ready Player One is actually on my list. I had a couple teens recommend it, and so I am excited to read that one.
Yeah, I'm enjoying Ready Player 2 so far. It's not, I mean, we'll see. I'm just beginning it, but okay, I am looking forward to a book called Makeup Breakup by Lily Minnan, who actually is a YA author, Sanja Minnan, and I love her books. Like, she wrote from Sweetie with Love and When Dimple Met Rishi.
Oh, I love those.
This is going to be an adult book, and she's going by Lily Minnan for her adult books. So I thought that was kind of interesting. I'm really interested in that one. Another one, another author that I love, Julie Murphy. She wrote like Dumplin' and Puddin'. She's got a book coming out in August called If the Shoe Fits, and it's a Cinderella retelling. Ooh. So I'm intrigued in that one.
I would like her take like her voice on that. Like that would be good.
Yeah. The Lily Minnan one is coming out in February, and then in April, it's called The Final Revival of Opal and Ned, and it's kind of, they said if you like Daisy Jones, you might like this book. And it's about a fictional rock and roll duo who protest like a rival band's use of the Confederate flag, and then it kind of taints their career. And it's a journalist is like writing about their band, like their band in the past, and like the looks back at their career, and I'm like, that sounds really interesting, and
that does.
I have high hopes for that. And then there's another book that's coming out in February. I think it's coming out in January, but I got it from Book of the Month. It's called The Wife Upstairs, so I'm going to read this.
Rachel Hawkins. Is she a girl on the train?
I don't know.
I feel like I recognize her name.
It's a Jane Eyre retelling, so I'm excited about that, and I may very well read this before the end of the year as well, but we'll see. I'm excited to read that.
Yeah, that looks good. So I did pull another one. I was looking at. This one actually was new this past year, I believe. Called Orphan Monster Spy. It's a World War II story, and she ends up being a spy. Like her parents get killed. She ends up being a spy. It looks really dark and really good. And I had went through a lot of World War II books at the beginning of the year, so I needed a break. So I actually, when I was looking for my other books, I saw this on the shelf. I'm like, well, that's right, I wanted to read that. So that is another one I'm going to probably read this next year.
Okay. And then Emma Lord, who wrote Tweet Q, and Angie Thomas, the author of The Hate You Give, they both have books coming out next year. So.
Yeah, Tweet Q is on my list to read. So maybe I'll have to catch up on all.
She's got one called You Have a Match, and it's about a girl who does like DNA testing and finds out she has an older sister. And
I actually just marked it in a journal to buy. So we should be having it come soon.
Good. Yeah, so a lot of really good books. And then of course I just have like a TBR like pile.
Yeah,
always. All right, so that is our wrap up of the past year and what we're looking forward to in 2021. Thank you everyone for watching. We hope you have a happy New Year's Eve. We have already announced our book chat book for January, but we will just refresh your memory. Attachments by Rainbow Rowell, one of our favorites, right?
Like I said, she is one of our favorite authors. She has such a great sense of humor. It is an adult rom-com set in Y2K, the year 2000, at the turn of 2000, and it follows a guy and his monitoring two girls from work emails, because he's the tech guy and has to monitor emails, and ends up falling in love with one of the girls. It is funny and sweet. So funny and very like endearing. Like it's really good. So that's our January book.
So we're gonna have a lot of fun looking back at 1999. Where were we then, and what was going on in the world? So it should be a lot of fun. Yeah. So thanks again, everyone, for joining us. Have a very festive and safe New Year's Eve, and we will see and talk to you all in 2021.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.